up, levelers? Welcome back to another episode of High Level Chronicles podcast, the only show where we get high, talk about everything from video games to the latest entertainment buzz to, last week we talked conspiracy theories. So, never know what's going to go down. But as always, I'm your host, Chris. I'm joined by my right-hand man, the co-host with the most, Paul. What's happening, buddy? This is our first time. We're actually shooting in the morning for you all. Usually we shoot at night. But we're just trying something different. This is the Wake and Bake episodes. What's cracking, bro?
Wake and Bake, that is, takes it back to my college days where I had a good friend of mine and he'd wake me up early. He's like, hey, time to wake and bake, bro.
What time would that be?
Get up at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
I know, but I'm good. Just chilling on some tasty treats that was made with some cannabis-infused butter. So we're feeling good this morning, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm just not leveling up. Usually I only sleep till, I don't know, man. My work schedule and shit, I usually only sleep till about 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I'm up and, I work from home, so I don't have to go anywhere. So I can sleep a little later, other than most people have that drive. But this morning, man, we planned to do this episode this morning. And I don't know, man, I didn't wake up till almost fucking 10 o'clock. So we're starting later than, what we do. So I was just out, and I think it might have been the mix of my treats last night. We actually went out last night to get some stuff for the house. She's going to do some painting around the house, in her room, touching up her office and doing some stuff. And I'm not supposed to be on my foot. I have a foot injury, not an injury. I have an infection in my foot. I'm really not supposed to be on it a lot. Yesterday we went out. We went to Lowe's, went to Wegmans, got some nice steaks I'm going to make today. And my foot just started hurting. So when we got home, it was later night. Like we didn't even eat breakfast. Like usually we eat dinner at, I think, because we shoot our podcast in the evenings each week, but my dinner time, normally my dinner routine is around 6:30, 7 o'clock, and so I'm used to eating about that time. But last night we didn't eat dinner till almost 9 o'clock because we were out, and
that's my
she
time,
was hungry.
yeah.
So that's the way we used to be. When we lived in Reno, we would always eat late, like buffets and everything in Reno, and they were open, till midnight, 1 a.m., even later sometimes. And most people over there don't eat dinner until 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's just the routine over there. So
Sure.
We've been out of that habit though back here because we have a routine in our evenings. She works out at certain times in the evening. I'm doing my thing with the podcast, or whether it be video game, whatever it may be in the evening. But yeah, we were out. She grabbed some tropical smoothie. I wasn't really feeling that, so I grabbed some IHOP, man. I had some breakfast for dinner.
Nice.
I had some eggs and bacon. The point of this story is after we got back, it was so late, I jumped into Elden Ring. And next thing I know, it was like, 2 hours later. And that's because when we got home, I was hurting so bad, I took an edible. I took a 40 milligram edible. And then I also drank a Keef Cola, which has some THC in it. And then I was puffing on my joint while I was playing Elden Ring. And I was just immersed, man. So that's what that is. I woke up late. I think it all just hit me, carried over through the night. It just made me relax and sleep. I slept good. So, and here we are, it's morning time and ready to do this.
Absolutely. I was up late. My dog was a menace, and I took him for a walk at like midnight. And I was just like, whatever. Like, I was up, she was up, and I was like, all right, let's get this going. Because if she doesn't go, she's just up all night. Little pup, just always terrorizing my wife. I'm a rock. I'll sleep through her whining, crying, pacing around the room.
Yep, I'm the exact same way.
My wife is not. So she I always get a report the next morning. I was like, how was the dog? And she's like, she was up at 3 and 4:45 giving me times and stuff. We find if you take her for a walk at night, it's easier to get to the morning. So we did, and she was a little angel last night. So
I am like you. I can sleep through the night, but let me tell you, we decided to redo our flooring in our master bedroom. It was one of the only bedrooms in the house that had carpet, and we decided to redo it and make it hardwood flooring like the rest of the house. And the first night that we installed the flooring that day, the people come, they did it all, whatever. That first night, all my wife did was complain because all she heard was our 3 dogs' paws on the floor. She said it kept her up all night. I slept right through it. I didn't even hear it. But she said she heard it. So guess what? We put in this nice new hardwood floor. Now it's covered by a giant fucking area rug. Don't worry about the floor, but we got a rug though that makes it so she can't hear the dogs walking in the middle of the night, because we have a German Shepherd, right? That's one of our dogs, and he is. If you know anything about German Shepherds, they are watchdogs. They will stick by your side. They're loyal. And at nighttime, Negan, this is his name, Negan, after The Walking Dead. Yeah, that's what I named him after. Yep. He look, half of everything you got's his. If he wants it, he's gonna take it. It don't matter. That's him, and you ain't gonna get it from him either. I promise you. If he takes, from me, he'll let me take anything from him. But my wife, if she drops like a piece of food, if she tries to grab it, oh, he will tear her to pieces. Like I'm his master. You know what I mean? Like he will let me do whatever he wants. I can mess with him. Anybody else? Mm-mm. What he does is at nighttime, he patrols the house. And that's just his thing. And it's just, he'll go from one room and he'll lay in that room for, I don't know, an hour or two maybe. And then he'll roll to the next room. And he just kind of moves throughout the house all night long, just making sure. I mean, this is my own thought, maybe because I'm high, I'm thinking, but that's just his job at night. He knows that he's watching the house because his owners are sleeping. You know what I mean? And so he controls it. He drives my wife nuts. Pitter patter. Negan. Now, the golden retriever, he's a big fucking baby, so he'll just sleep all night right next to wherever she's at. And our little Frenchie, man, he curls up right next to us, stays in bed. But Negan, back and forth, and she hears everything. And she's always like, why am I always the one getting up with him? Why is he waking me up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go outside? Well, because you get up. He knows I'll sleep, and they know you hear him, you get up, and that's the routine. They're used to it. So I feel you on that.
I feel like our neighbors, we live in a third floor condo area, but we put it in part of the force when we bought the place about like 2 years ago, and I just, you can hear the pitter patter, and she goes kind of crazy sometimes, like with her zoomies at night, or like she'll try to her tail.
She gets the
her
zoomies.
Tail is about the size of her body, so she will try to catch it. And so last night she just I was like,
what kind of dog is this?
I really hope they can't hear us. She's like 5 different kind of things. She was like a rescue from somewhere in West Virginia. Yeah, she's almost half beagle, but she's got some husky, some like German Shepherd, a couple kind of like coonhounds, which is mostly what she looks like, a really dopey Doberman.
She's got multiple personality disorders.
I guess so.
Does she ever? Our golden retriever, he has a big long fucking tail, looks like a fan, right? Because his hair, the way there's time he knocks over shit all the time, and if he whacks my leg with his tail getting happy, that shit hurts. Does she ever knock shit off the fucking tables, or just knock shit over with that tail because she gets excited and that tail starts going 30 miles an hour? It's like,
so she's
like
probably a third of the size of a golden retriever. She's about maybe a foot high, but she's just very long. She kind of, if you remember Toy Story, she looks like the Slinky Dog.
Just almost like a dachshund, almost.
A little bit, yeah.
Almost like a slender, but like I got you. Longer, slender dog.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Well, I tell you what, man. Why don't we kick things off today? I mean, we've talked about some stuff already. You gave a little insight as to what you have, but let's kick things off to leveled up second. I'll start off. I'm actually leveling up right now, man, on some rubber cement. Something new. I just got it from my go-to, like I mentioned last time, Sugarhead Farms. It's like a 60-40 split, 60 indica, 40% sativa, which is like my perfect hybrid, right? Like too much sativa will give me a little bit of anxiety. I don't feeling that way with it. So this is like the perfect balance. But tried it yesterday for the first time, actually before we went out to Lowe's and everything, and that helped me navigate without too much pain or anything. But then last night, fucked a little bit by playing Elden Ring. And now this morning, that's what I woke up to. Right now, that's my wake and bake morning, man. I got the rubber cement. I've been grinding Elden Ring, bro. I'm loving it. I've leveled up a little bit now. I've learned a little bit more. I mean, I'm 8 hours in now, so I'm hoping I've learned something, but I've learned at least how to attack people a little bit. So I've, dude, I can't tell you. I am overwhelmed, honestly, a lot by that game because it is just so massive, like so massive. And every time I'm like, what's next? What do I got to fight? There's my map. If you've played it, everybody knows the map. My map's like black all the way around. I haven't even got to half the places yet, but Jesus, I feel like I'm on my little horse. I'm riding around, and I'm just right now. I'm just exploring. Really, I'm avoiding the big ass fucking bosses because I just ain't got the vigor and everything for it. But I'm just riding around trying to find some site of graces, trying to just whatever. I was showing my wife last night. I never even knew, man. This is the first time I knew because we watch House of the Dragon, right? Which is a Game of Thrones spinoff. But this game was written by George R.R. Martin. That was cool as shit. And I showed my wife, and I was like,
"Oh my god, I forgot about that." You're right. Yeah,
yeah, dude. He wrote the fucking script, like wrote out some of the storylines and the characters and stuff for this Elden Ring. So playing it, I felt like I was in House of the Dragon, because I'm in where I was at was like one of these dragon pit. Big dude, it scared the shit out of me. I see a group of guys down in this little lake area, and I'm like, let me trot down here and see what they have. The minute I trot down, fucking dragon flamed those guys, and then started coming for me. And this dragon was massive. I was like, fuck that, I'm out of here. So
I know exactly what part of the game you're talking about.
It's near the beginning because I ain't got very far.
It is.
It's right by Stormgate. It's right by this gate that you go through with the big giant that jumps down, and I can't beat that guy yet. But yeah, and I get immersed, dude. I jump like I even scare the shit out of myself sometimes. Like last night, I think I was just high and everything, but I was playing and there wasn't nothing. It was just like maybe it seems so realistic at times, like a rock fell or something, right, and it hit the ground. Dude, I literally jumped back out of my chair thinking an enemy was behind me. It was nothing. It was just like I think it was a friend. Everybody, they put these little messages out in the game that like you can read, and they say dog when it's like a friend, right? They say dog, and it was like a giant fucking caterpillar or something that just landed, and it wasn't hurting me, but it scared the shit out of me. So yeah, I was immersed. Like I can get immersed in that game.
That one, not only just because of like the the cinematics, like that when you meet like a story boss that you have to progress, like they'll have their own little like speeches and stuff, but just like,
but it's not really a story, right? It's so open world. There's not really, I mean, I guess the whole story is just the Elden Ring, but there's no real story content like compared to most games where there's a storyline you're progressing through. You're really just out there, and you want to become.
I'm not sure. I've put in maybe 40, 50 hours to that game, and like I said, I'm taking a break right now. But if you're learning it, I'll come back and we'll probably talk more about that off air. But like you'll get to like a spot, everything seems fine, quiet, maybe trigger something, and then all of a sudden you're in this massive battle, and has like nothing to do. You could just like skip it if you went in a different way. But now this spot is like just tons of different enemies, and yeah, I mean, even high or not, it can scare the shit out of you sometimes because it's just so unsuspected.
Yeah, I thought Dead by Daylight was my jump scare game. Like that's the game that I get like I jump in because things are so wild in that game. But this game, it's taking the cake just probably because I'm so new to it and I really still don't know good and bad. You know what I mean? Like, because there's some characters that don't bother. They look menacing, but like the old lady that's always at some weird bridge or something looking, but they don't do anything. And then there's some characters that you can just walk right up to. But yeah, dude, I think it's just because I don't know it. But that, and we've also been watching a show on Netflix called Eric. You heard about it? You've heard about it? But, it's what's that fucking guy's name? It's the fucking wizard dude from Marvel, Benedict Cumberbatch, whatever. What's his name?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, Cumberbatch, whatever it is. He's the lead in this show, Eric. And it's only a 6-episode mini like show, right? It's only a limited series, but it's good. It's pretty good. It's about his boy that went missing. He ends up struggling to find New York, for missing kids. Because the cops are corrupt, and it's about this nightclub. And Eric is this character that his son always drew because his son's an artist. Like he's a little boy, but he can really draw really good. And his dad runs Benedict has a show, like a kid's show that he does with puppets, right? Think of like the Muppets.
Sure.
It's just puppets he creates and talks with. And Eric is a character that his son came up with. It's like his big furry. It reminds me of like the blue monster from Monsters, Inc. Mm-hmm. Sully, is that his name?
Sully, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Reminds me of him. And he goes out and he tells that, that's Eric. But then on his way to school one morning, he just disappears. And they start looking for him, and they think his dad's an alcoholic, and he got in a fight the night before. And I don't want to give too much away, but he uses that character in his show to try to reach out to his kid and let him know we're looking for you. You know what I mean? Like, we're trying to find you. We will find you, whatever. And it's pretty good so far. It's like I said, it's a limited series, and after Elden Ring, that's what we watched last night. That's what I've been leveling up on, man. Watching that.
Well,
and House of Dragon, like I said, we're watching it as it releases because we're huge Game of Thrones fans in this house.
I saw that came back out. My wife and I watched the first season. How many episodes are out now? Like 2 or
2,
something like that.
2.
Yeah,
yeah, it's 2, and it's really really good so far this season.
Yeah,
really wild because the last season. You watched the last season, is what you said.
Yeah.
And it ended with Aemond, the guy with the one eye, right, with the patch. It ended with him and his dragon eating Rhaenyra's son and his dragon, splitting them in half at the end of the season, and it starts off pretty much right after that.
Yeah, that was a good cliffhanger. Yeah,
what about you, man? I know you said you've been doing some edible. You said some homemade. Would you have homemade edibles? Or did you?
My sister gave me some butter that was cannabis infused a little while back, and it's definitely for cooking. I put that stuff on some bread.
That'd be rough, dude.
Stuff.
So you've never done the whole. You've never made canna butter, right?
No,
you can't do that straight. It's just like the oils and stuff. You can't just use it.
Yep.
I mean, you can use it anything that needs butter, right? You can just substitute 1 for 1 any butter in a recipe. But eating that straight like butter on a toast, you're gonna have some. You're gonna get that cannabis flavor for sure.
So, lesson learned.
Can of butter on some toast and ate it. Did you finish the toast?
Yep.
So you just said, "Fuck it, down the hatch." I got
Absolutely.
it.
Yep.
I mean, I'm all in now.
Yep. Not so. So yes, what do you say there? Because I had never experienced it. She's like, oh, like here. She's like, just use it for whatever you would use butter for. And I was like, all right, I'll make some toast for that. And I was like, oh no. I was like, fuck it, though. I'm just gonna finish it. And that was.
How much do you have left? Do you have a good amount left?
Oh yeah, I still have a good amount. And so
I would say make some. You can easily make some good treats with it.
Yeah,
Rice Krispie treats with that, or some brownies, some cookies, whatever.
Yeah, so
it's not straight butter on toast.
No, absolutely not. So that did not come with the how to. It was just like here's that. It was like nicely gift wrapped. But yeah, so I did try that, and I did make some brownies with that, just a little batch, and it's much better.
Okay.
And then
can you still taste it in the brownies?
No, it bakes out, but you could taste it on the toast though.
I make my oils really strong, and you can still taste it in some brownies and stuff because it's so strong. I mean, like we're talking probably 50, 60 milligrams each brownie.
With sort of experimenting with that, and watched it's on Netflix, the Longest Third Date, which is this guy and girl from New York started dating each other on like some app right before the pandemic. And this guy just like, I certainly shared the same experience when things started to slow down a little bit in March of 2020. All these flights were cut, and he's like, yo, we could go to Costa Rica for like $200. And she's just like, yeah, whatever, let's do it. And so they go down on March 17th, 2020, and just for like a long weekend or something, and it ends up being like a 3-month trip.
They got stuck there.
Get back into the country. So they have to. And they're not like in a relationship. They're just kind of casually dating and thought they might, this might be a fun little spur of the moment holiday. And
they get to know each other. Nice little trip.
Yeah, they have to live together.
3 or 4 days and call it done.
Yeah. So, and then like seeing if they're still together, 4 years later,
Well, so let me add. Now I'm a little interested. I want to get invested in this a little bit. When they went down there, you go for 3 or 4 days, and I'm assuming it's like a resort or something, right? Is that what it is? Like a resort? Now, normally you go on vacations, right? When you book, you pay in advance. So you pay for those 3 or 4 days in advance. It's all inclusive sometimes, especially when you're going to the Caribbean areas. But then if you're stuck and you're not allowed to leave, they having to foot that bill that entire time they're stuck down there? All those nights?
The resort closed down eventually. So they kind of travel around the country of Costa Rica.
Wait, so they were just hoofing it?
rented a car, and like the car like drove into a ditch at one point, and they got a lot of Airbnbs, which I guess is a thing down there, and so they would stay in these different, I guess, homes
Even then,
or
though, man,
yeah.
it's still you're paying. Yeah, you'd have to have some money.
So here's the thing: they didn't really go into what they did, but just from the way they talked, it made it pretty clear that they were like pretty affluent people. And they did show them like working from home and stuff. So like, they would have try to build routines into their day of like working out and working from home. They had their laptops and they had
Oh yeah, because
Wi-Fi
they
in
would
these
still have some
areas.
internet. Yeah,
So yeah,
so they could
but
still work. So they were still getting paid. It's not like they were stuck. They didn't have a job to go to. They were luckily remote workers. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
probably
they could
saved
do
them
all
a
their
good
stuff
bit.
remote.
Because
Yeah,
I'm just saying, you think of a normal person that's going to have to go to an office. If you go somewhere, you're fucked. You ain't getting paid. I mean, you might be
yeah,
able to, if you have a good company and you can be like, hey, I need to take some extra vacation or whatever. But I've heard some horror stories about COVID and people getting stuck in other countries because they were already there when, the U.S. shut shit down. All the countries started shutting everything down, entry and exits, unless you had all these proofs of all this stuff. And people were getting stuck and having to foot these bills on their own. And I've heard
yeah,
stories of, like you said, resorts shutting down and then people just getting kicked out and stuck.
yeah.
And there was a story of, I think, a guy spent like a week or two in an airport, just literally sleeping there because he had nowhere to go and no, just waiting on trying to get home.
Yeah. Well, there's
That's
a
crazy
number
what
of
can go
stories
down.
I heard, not even just being abroad, but people who were sort of on the precipice of like, well, I've been seeing this person. I'm not going to be able to see him for a long time. You just want to move in together? And people being like, all right. And I went to a wedding about a month ago. A good friend of mine was dating a girl around that time, and he was living in Annapolis. It was just like, hey, things are getting pretty bad. And we're sort of, I don't know exactly how far away they 30, 40 minutes or something. And he's just like, you want to move in? And she's like, yeah. And 4 years later, they're I'm at their wedding ceremony, and so it worked out for some people. But yeah, that was really good. And there's a bunch of stuff they have to go through. Where, like I said, they had car troubles, tons of bugs down there. I mean, it's tropic
Oh yeah.
region, so the girl has like all these band-aids on her from these massive bug bites, spider bites, a big iguana that kind of lives at one of their places with them, and
Those are abundant down there though,
yeah,
right?
she's on birth control. Her birth control runs out. She has to get some from a pharmacy down there, and there's reports of black market, not kind of just fraudulent birth control that's been sold. And she's like, well, fuck, I hope this works. Like, period comes late, all this stuff, and oh my god, we're gonna have a kid now. And so I won't spoil it,
Oh,
but yeah, it was
that's crazy.
it was a trip though, yeah, for sure.
While they were down there, you said they were in Costa Rica. Is that what you
Hmm.
said?
Yeah,
They have a lot of they have some mushroom retreats and some ayahuasca retreats down there. Those had some real good times.
I've always wanted to do that. I've heard a lot of things about ayahuasca, and
Dude, I
what
really want
yeah,
to do it. I haven't tried. I really want to. My biggest thing with it is I hate puking, and you have to puke when you
yep,
take ayahuasca. That's like the whole point. You have to puke it out. That's when, and that just, I don't know. There's something like, it keeps throwing me off. There's places around the U.S. you can do it. Some places got trouble for doing it illegally. But
oh
yeah,
yeah,
you can go to Costa Rica, Mexico, and it's not expensive. You can go on like 3 and 4 day retreats where everything's included. Yeah, it'd be. I've
yeah.
always wanted to try it. So Brian, my previous co-host, uh, Brian has done it before, and he tried. And he said it was crazy experience.
Oh,
He
I
went
can
to a
only
whole retreat
imagine.
thing.
Yeah,
So
I don't know if you follow like some comedians, but there's a guy, Neil Brennan. He was like a writer on the Chappelle Show. He has a couple Netflix specials. But he
it
said
sounds familiar.
he's like I'm not devout, but like I'm like very adamant in my atheism. Don't believe in God. Don't not my thing. He's like, then I took an ayahuasca trip. I'm agnostic now because I think I met him. And I was just like, oh, that's quite an interesting like for that experience to change your entire perspective on how you view
Dude, shrooms can do the
spirituality.
same thing.
Yeah,
You take a heroic dose of a shroom trip, you probably will see God.
Yeah.
especially if you're new to it, and especially if you have the right strains of psilocybin mushrooms. But yeah, not to get too far off
Yeah.
track of that, but yeah, dude, that sounds
Yeah.
cool. I have to bring that show up with the wife. We're waiting. We watched The Bear, and The Bear just
Mhm.
released. You ever watch The Bear?
I watched the first few
The restaurant
episodes.
show.
Yeah.
Dude,
Mhm.
it's so great. That show is great. It just came out. We just have so many shows that we watch and are just coming out again, but we like to wait for episodes to be done and just binge it. Except for
Mhm.
House of Dragon, we watch it on the regular when it releases, but we usually like to wait till they're all done and binge it. Like Mayor of Kingstown's another one that we waited for, to end.
Yeah. We got a couple level up from how our levelers are leveling up that was sent in. So at Alexander the Great says he's been smoking some Blue Dream and playing the new Zelda Tears of the Kingdom classic combat. Yeah, we got a number of people playing that. I just finished it again actually, and I have some friends that are still getting into it. Great game. We got a message from at Tony A. He's been vaping some Gorilla Glue, playing Diablo 4. I'm still on Diablo 2, but I heard it's a great game. He says the game is dark and intense and perfect for those late night sessions. And at Allison M, hey guys, I've been trying some homemade edibles. I'm watching the latest season of Black Mirror. She says it's a trip. Black Mirror come out with a new season?
I haven't watched the show. I think it came out with a new season though. Not too recently, but it's been a few months.
Oh damn! I didn't get back into that.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard good things about Black Mirror. I haven't watched it.
It
what's
is.
his face in it, right? The guy from Breaking Bad, Jesse.
Aaron Paul.
I can't think of it. Yeah, Aaron Paul. He's in it, right? Or at
Well,
least in a
there
couple
was
seasons or something.
Well, it's an anthology, so every episode is different actors, different story. They're not.
Oh, so it's just
Yeah.
like what's that fucking
like
show?
the
It used to
Twilight Zone.
The scary show. Not Twilight. Recently, they had Kim Kardashian was on the show. Lady Gaga was on the show. Man, my husband and I said we used
American
to watch
Horror
it. They had
Story.
American Horror Story. It's like that. So every season's different.
No, every episode is different.
Oh, really? Every episode of Black Mirror is different?
Mm-hmm.
I thought you meant the seasons were different. Holy shit. That's a lot of different episodes.
Well, there's about 6 seasons, but the last season was 3 episodes. So they have maybe 20 episodes-ish, maybe a little more. But everything is about either like a new technology that comes out and how it like usually is a bad thing. But it kind of makes you think about things differently. Like there's an episode, God, it's a tragic episode about being blocked. And so when we say being blocked, it's like, oh, this person, I can't contact this person, I can't text them or get them on social media or something. Like they're just blocked me, but they have a blocking system that you are blocked in person, that you were just in gray void. That sounds like can't understand them. And this guy gets blocked by someone who he believes got pregnant and wants to see their kid, and their kid is blocked. And it's like, but then like that, the mother dies, and he's like, oh, I can see my child. And it's this whole thing and about the issue. Like if you were blocked in person, like what would that world look like? So it's
definitely a show. It sounds interesting, especially leveled up.
Yeah.
That'd be wild.
A lot of thoughts on consciousness and what that means. So the Aaron Paul, he is I think he came in the last minute of an episode where this game, the USS Callister, is sort of like a Star Trek nod, and like they are untethered in this game now. So it's these AI people that were created, and they know they're AI, but now they're out in the world of this game, just kind of doing their own thing. So I think they're trying to make a spin-off of that, and kind of an interesting theory. But and Aaron Paul actually, and he's in another episode too, where he's like a space man, and he lives his life, and then he goes in this machine, and he's beamed up to the space station and does work. And I don't want to give too much away if you want to get into it, but it get really dark, but it's also
Yeah.
very very interesting at times.
Good times by the levelers. I know Diablo 4. I haven't played it yet, but I've heard some good things about it. And that's another one that'd probably give me the jump in the middle of playing that game because we all know Diablos are always dark games, right? I mean, it's always a thing. But hey, you see you a GTA fan? You like Grand Theft Autos?
I did play back in the day. I haven't been keeping up with any like
The
new
Grand Theft Auto
releases.
6 is
I heard
coming
that's
out.
coming
They've
out. Yeah,
they released a teaser trailer, so you haven't seen it. Pretty pretty good. Let's check it out.
yeah. I
You've
don't
had
know.
to have seen. Man, it's been out for a little bit. I think it's had they had like the Florida people mocking them, and the guy with the tattoos all over his face. They have him in the game, and he sued them. He's suing them now
Oh, I
because
didn't know they were
he's
modeled off real people.
yeah. They've been modeled the whole game off of it's real stuff. So
Oh, that seems legally dubious. But
we'll
I
see what happens.
the yes, the one of our levelers talked about Diablo 4. I have this thing where if I see like a release out and it's like such and such game 3, 4, whatever, and I don't like experience with that game, but I hear a lot of great things like I did like with Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, that I feel the need to like start at the beginning. I was like, I feel like maybe I'll get more out of this if I play like Diablo 1, and then which I did, and I've been playing Diablo 2 off and on, and I don't know, I feel like I wanna earn it, which I feel like maybe an unpopular opinion. Has that ever happened to you, or do you try to get into stuff if you just, it's a great game, I'm just gonna jump to the whatever's the most recent, play that
Yeah,
out?
I've jumped to
I
most
don't know.
recent. I've just skipped over stuff plenty of times just to try and see. And then what happened for me with some of those is then I ended up going back and playing. Probably because I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I want to know what some of the storyline was, but then sometimes I'm just like, nah.
Sometimes the graphics can get me too much though. Because I told a friend, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, which came out in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And he's like, don't do that. He's like, take Baldur's Gate 3 is so much better. And I did get there's a combo pack, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and some expansions that came out. But the graphics and just some of the gameplay is so, it's on a
Yeah,
completely different level in a not good way.
yeah, definitely. I mean, they weren't. I mean, but for the time that came out,
Yeah.
that was the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That was there wasn't nothing better. You thought that was the best, but going in reverse makes it tough for some people. It's hard to get, to go back to that certain games, I guess, like you said, Boulder's Gate, something like that. But like everybody can go back to the classic Mario, and the graphics don't bother you,
Sure.
right? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
because it's that. But these games that are more realistic and technical, it makes it rough sometimes. Like playing, I'm actually thinking about not that it's that far back, but now that I'm really enjoying Elden Ring, I've been thinking about going to try and Skyrim out because they say it's a lot smaller than
It is.
Elden Ring and giving it a shot. But
As
oh,
someone
well,
that's played Skyrim and Elden Ring, Skyrim is like a good like kind of game to get into RPGs. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like easy, and you can kind of mess with the difficulty. But it's a open world. There is like there's like multiple main quests, and there's never a, hey, you've done the main quest, you can finish the game. Like there's just so many side quests you can do and get back into it. Just kind of focus on some of the expansions. It's been
so it's like
released,
Borderlands.
I think so,
You
but
get you get dragged off to the side quest and never get to the main quest. It's always the side quest you get sidetracked to.
oh, you don't even have to do the main quest. You can just be like, I'm gonna help this person find some juniper berries, or
Hmm.
like, there's a homestead Skyrim edition where like you can build a home and get buy materials and get a basement, get a spouse, some kids, animals, and just kind of, and it's always in like a very picturesque area. Some people are like, oh no, I'm all about my home. I have a chest of drawers, and like I put armor and stuff, and I make spells and alchemy potions and things like that. And so you can get lost in Skyrim too for a while, but Elden Ring is a completely different level where you
See, that's my thing with Elden
play.
Ring, with all these
Yeah.
like the potions and I find all these like cookbooks and all this stuff. I don't
Mhm.
have any idea what to do with them. I can't even figure out how to use them. That's my thing with it. I like Elden Ring, like there's no instruction, which is normal for the
Mhm.
developer. I mean, it's just what they say. It's just like Dark Souls or anything else. But
When you go to a different zone in Skyrim, you have like a loading screen that pops up, and little tips will come up.
well, they
That
have
kind of
little
help
tips
you
that come
out.
up in
Yeah,
Elden Ring every time you go to a new grace, but it
that's
doesn't tell
true
you
too.
how to
Yeah,
use.
right.
It doesn't tell you how you what mixes you have to do to get this spell right, or what you have to like. That's what I'm saying. Like I have no idea what I can add to do this, so that's what I got to figure out. Like I said, I'm only 7 hours, 8 hours into it, so I'm learning. It's still a big learning curve for somebody that's never played really
Yeah,
RPGs. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I
And like
think the
I said,
biggest, I don't even know if you consider an RPG, but Destiny is the biggest RPG really that I mean, if you want to fire, and that's more of a immort, right? I mean, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, Destiny. That's the closest
mhm.
to an RPG. That's
I'm
making
not
a comeback. I know a lot of people are playing that again. Destiny is coming. They released a new season or something for it.
really big into
Well, don't
Guild
tell me you don't know
Wars.
Destiny. You know Destiny?
Nah,
Oh my god, yeah,
I've heard of
Destiny
it,
was
but I've never
wild.
played it.
Yeah, that took too much of my time. That was one of those games. It's like wow, right? You just get invested. It's like you have to be there with your when your team is ready to do a raid. You have to
Hmm.
be there. Everybody has to be on point, and it got to the point I got burnt out. That's why I quit playing. Haven't played it since.
Yeah, dude, game
Cool game
burnout
though.
is
It's a good game.
so. It's like kind of sad. Where it's like I really enjoyed this game, and now it becomes like a chore. I gotta do my dailies, man, and I don't feel like doing it today, but then I gotta, keep a streak going, and
See, that's how I
yeah,
am on COD. That's the way I've
yeah.
been. That's why I'm just like I need a break from it. Like I was always let me get in, get my dailies done, do all this.
Mm-hmm,
Now
mm-hmm.
I'm like, man, no. I was talking with Brian the other day, and he said the same thing. That's why he hasn't been playing. He's been playing. He's actually the one that went back to Destiny. He's like, he's got burnt out on COD and Fortnite and stuff again. After playing it just every single day or every other, whatever it was, just playing it consistently. He just got burnt out because it was just the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah,
And I had to go to something that I didn't know what was going to happen. It was just random. Open where I can just do whatever I want. I don't have to worry.
yeah. The
Yeah,
dopamine doesn't hit always the same way, after a while.
definitely hits me different with Elden Ring. I'm digging it, liking it.
Yeah.
Speaking
Well,
of
yeah,
burnout,
yeah.
I actually want to discuss something with you. We can do it in this episode because with the levelers thing, and it's not really burnout, but it can be like a burnout. But so High Level Chronicles, we have been releasing episodes weekly since the first week of January this year. Just started, right? So all in all, right around 28 episodes now, something like that. 28 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Been going at this every single week. What do you think of moving the show to bi-weekly? I mean, everyone knows by now that this is, a hobby podcast. We don't make a living off of it. We don't make any money off the podcast. So it does get real time consuming doing an episode every week with everything involved in creating a podcast. So trying to come up with the episodes, research, doing all that, weekly it gets rough. So I just wondered your thoughts on moving to bi-weekly, just allowing us a little more time to maybe give a little more to each episode and avoid not calling you out. But I handle all the editing, everything, and it just takes a lot of time to go through. And everybody knows that does podcasts or vlogs, whatever you all do, even if you're just making TikToks, you know how much editing goes in just to do stuff. So you're talking a podcast, I just start thinking bi-weekly. Also, I'm thinking might age some more listeners because they're not having to remember every single week. You can have a little bit in between to listen to the episodes.
Sure.
Just what are your thoughts, man? That's what I said. Get an idea on what you thought of that.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely something we can do. Especially with summer coming up and possibly being away. This could give us some time to really focus on like a specific topic and maybe provide really some deep dives into some things we've been wanting to chat about in the future. So yeah, no, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Yeah, that, and also I am going to completely change this. Everybody sees, and there you go. if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, whatever you're listening on, you're not going to see the video. But if you're watching on YouTube, you can see where we sit, what goes on. We each have our own dedicated space for this that we do it in remotely. But Paul is not far away, literally 15 minutes, 20 minutes away from me. But I'm thinking of, well, I'm not thinking, I know I'm going to redo this whole room. This is my office work. It's for everything, podcast, and make this an actual studio. I'll put it on soundproofing on the walls. I'm going to put a nice little sitting area over here on the side with some chairs and a table, and that would even give time to actually shoot in person and knock it out, make everything just more productive and all for the podcast. Give a nice setting. I say this all the time. You've heard on other episodes, even on whether you're smoking or taking cannabis or shroom, whatever, set and setting is always key. What your surroundings are. So I just think it'd be beneficial. Redo this whole room. Yeah.
Looking forward to it, man.
Change it up a little bit. Yep. So I guess we'll go to bi-weekly. We'll start that. We'll start going to bi-weekly. Give a little more time in between. Not going to change anything,
No, absolutely.
Everybody, gives everybody more time, because there are some episodes. My thing I started thinking about is, we do episodes that are 25 minutes. I think is our shortest one, maybe 20 minutes, and then some of them are an hour and a half. It just depends on what's going on. If we have a guest that we can really dive into some stuff with, like Dr. Heather Lynn, remember
Shout out to Dr. Lynn.
Dude, we didn't even touch base on how we could literally have her on for 2 or 3 more episodes and spend that same amount of time. But when you have long episodes, my point is, when episodes like that just gives people a little more time to listen, because, most people aren't going to sit and listen to an hour and a half straight, right? You're going to break it up and stop, maybe come back. If it's interesting, hopefully this is interesting to you, episodes like that. But, you come back, you listen, and I think it just would allow more time in the shorter ones. But it's got a short week and move on, listen to some of the other favorite podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
My thoughts. What's your morning routine, man? I want to ask you that. This is the Wake and Bake episode. Are you a coffee drinker? Are you a tea drinker? A energy drinker?
So
what do you do?
Yeah, I generally wake up, maybe. It really depends on the day. If I have to go in early, I'll wake up at 6:15. Other days I'll wake up closer to 8:30. Because my commute's very short. I never got a taste for coffee. I think it's kind of gross, to be honest with you. And
get out of here.
I know
he didn't mean that.
I
if
know
you're a coffee drinker, he didn't mean that.
I'm full of unpopular opinions today, man. So no, I'm more of an energy drinker. So I'll if I need it in the morning, I'll have like a Red Bull or a Monster or something. Okay. But when I get to my office, I have this big thermos that I just put water in with some like Mio caffeine, and generally gets me through the day. Might have like a soda here or there, but yeah.
That used to be me, man.
Yeah, I'll wake up and shower, listen to the radio or a podcast, and just get ready to start my day with whatever I need to do.
Yeah, I'm a coffee drinker now. I've been a coffee drinker now for a while, but I used to, back in when I was younger, in my late 20s through 30s, it was energy drinks or whatever in the morning. And I got to the point, man, I had to stop. I actually quit drinking any energy drinks since 2015, 16, I think. For the most part, I not one here and there. I will not drink a Red Bull or a Monster or anything like that, but I'm talking like the High 9 that I had the episode. We had the episode with Franz Tudor and his company, High 9, that sent out some samples to us, and it's an energy drink, but it has THC in it and stuff. And so I've had stuff like that. That's not straight Red Bull, but this stuff, my problem was I was going through, Monsters are bigger cans, right? Everybody, you get more your bang for your buck with Monsters. So I was drinking 4 to 5 Monsters a day. Like,
oh geez,
that was my go-to drink. But I had to. And here's the reason why. You've all heard some of the stories that we talked about our past, right? And the history on us. I was out at the bars or clubs until 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I was at work at 7 a.m. So I would just walk. Our office was right beside, like literally the same lot as a gas station. So I would literally just walk next door when I got there, grab a Monster, or they were at the time. I think Monsters were always on sale for like two for $3, right, or something like that is what they used to be. So I would always get two or sometimes four, and that's what would get me through the day because I worked from 7 to 6, but I worked 12-hour days, uh, with a 1 hour lunch in there. So yeah, it was monster after monster after monster. So that was what I drank every morning. Then after I, took that, I started getting the shakes and all that shit, right? And then I didn't
Oh
even have to
yeah.
drink it, and I was getting anxiety and everything. And the doctor said, "Look, you got to stop drinking that shit." So I stopped, and then
Yeah.
I started drinking coffee. I just started having 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and maybe, depending on the day, one in the afternoon. Now that I have a whole different role and work from home, it's different. So now it's just a cup of coffee, and that's that. My wife wasn't a coffee drinker. She was like, it's disgusting. Now she drinks coffee every morning. She's a coffee drinker. So, our morning routine is the first thing I do when I get up. Normally it's the three S's, right? Shower, shave, and I don't shave anymore. Of course, you know what I mean. I don't have to worry about that part. But so after that, it's like straight to the coffee pot. That's my first thing. If I don't have that coffee, right, I feel like first thing in the morning, don't even deal with me. I like seriously, I can't even function.
Yeah.
So,
No,
so
see
weekdays
people like
she's
that.
already
Yeah.
gone. You know what I mean? She leaves because she has to commute. She has to go into Frederick from here, which is not far, but she still has to drive to work, and I don't. So she usually heads out, and I grab my coffee. I'm after everything else, grab my coffee, come back to my office, and this is where I am all day long in meetings and everything else. It's just this, and it's coffee and tea. I'm a big tea drink, not tea as in like hot tea, but I drink my favorite drink. I used to be a big soda drinker, right? But I'm diabetic, so I never drink regular soda. So I always drink Diet Pepsi. That was my favorite, Diet Pepsi. When I cut out the Monsters and everything, I quit drinking soda as well. So I drink it every once in a blue moon, but it's not like I keep it in the fridge stocked up. That's what I have every day. But it used to be Monster, Diet Pepsi, Monster, Diet Pepsi, Monster, Diet Pepsi, Monster, Diet Pepsi, and the holiday. Now
Oh.
yeah. Now it's the coffee. Then I get Gold Peak Diet, zero sugars tea.
Mhm.
So I drink coffee, then I drink Gold Peak tea, and then I drink water the rest of the evening. So it's all water from that point on. But dude, I was bad with it. It was always Monster and soda, some type of soda, Diet Pepsi, Diet Coke, Mountain Dew, Diet Dr Pepper, Diet Sausage.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know if
it
you've
was
ever
good.
been to I do really like tea though. If you've ever been to Baltimore Coffee Co. It's in Frederick. There might be one in Baltimore too,
Mm-mm.
but
I've heard of it.
yeah,
I haven't been.
great food. It's all like kind of like Baltimore themed. And they have this, I don't know if it's a brand that they make or they just carry, but it's called Summer Shade. And I'll get like a whole bag of that. And they'll have these big tea bags, and it makes a gallon of just like amazing tea. I get like some Splenda,
Nice.
put it in there, and just because again, like with soda, like I I'm not diabetic, but I get real sick if I have like anything with sugar in it. So I'm always
Hmm.
looking for the zero sugar diet stuff. Um, or like sweeteners with in my tea. So we used the Gold Peak Zero. I know exactly what that is. It's delicious. But I always try to make stuff,
I
especially in the
love it. It's always
summertime.
sold out.
Yeah, yeah. I know, right? So that's my go-to in the summer. We'll have a big gallon of some summer shade where like it's like a little herby, a little fruity, a little like just it
Nice.
really hits the spot on like when it's like 97 degrees out.
You ever made sun tea? You ever
I've
made
never
sun
heard of
tea?
that.
What? Right, it's supposed to be. You're from Maryland, right?
Yeah.
That's what you told me. Well, and I'm from West Virginia, so we're not far off either way. But
hmm
that was everybody made sun tea. It essentially, look it up. It's essentially it's like the best tea ever, dude. You take whatever your favorite tea bag is, like you're talking about, right? You make some tea
hmm
bags. You put it. Most people have like a glass. If they want to keep cold tea, they have a glass container. Looks like has a little spout on it. You pour some out, but just take it, put it in a jar, stick it outside, and let the sun steep it. It's sun
Oh,
tea, dude. It's the best
interesting.
thing ever.
I'm looking it up right now. Yeah.
Do it. Yeah, I'm telling you, try it. Try it. I don't know what it is about the sun and the natural. It tastes better, and maybe it's placebo effect, right? I mean, maybe it just seems like it does, but Dude, sun tea's great. Stick it out in the sun and let it be. We used to do that all the time back in the day. And, like I said, I'm diabetic. I've been diabetic since I was a kid, so I have type 1. So it's not like I got it from overeating or the sugars or anything like that. It's just, and when I was saying I used to drink Monsters and stuff, is that it was always the zeros, right? The zero, sugar, Monster Zero, all that stuff for sugar-free Red Bull. But yeah, dude, we used to drink sun tea all the time. We used, I think the only thing we had back then was Sweet and Low was the substitute for sugar. Now you have all the options of everything. So we always use Sweet and Low to sweeten it. Yeah, dude, you add a few lemons or something into it while it's out there with.
I gotta try that out. Yeah,
man, what do you think? I think that's. I mean, we opened up this morning with some good conversation. We leveled up a little bit with the levelers. Talked about some games. We've talked about a lot already.
Yeah, man.
I didn't realize we were even about an hour in.
Just a little freestyle wake and bake. Absolutely.
I love it. Man. It's not something, we never did in the morning. I like this. It's nice to change it up every once in a while.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I guess going to do it for today's episode, folks. Got any final words, man?
Dig into that sun tea. I've actually learned a little bit, and that and maybe getting back into some Elden Ring. So,
hey, look,
yeah, that's my takeaways.
You got me on. We have our Discord server. We have our High Level Chronicles Discord server too. For anybody that would like to join, we'll put the links. Actually, start adding the link to our Discord server on the descriptions of each episode, because otherwise you aren't ever going to be able to keep finding it and joining. We're trying to get new members. So
a great way to watch for interact with the levelers.
Discord and Steam. I have a few levelers on Steam as friends now that are on it. So yeah, definitely. Let's link up. Let's play some Elden Ring.
Absolutely,
levelers. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing your experiences with us this week for what you all were leveling up on. Remember, you can always reach out to us on highlevelchronicles.com or hit us up on any of your favorite social media at HLC Podcast 420. As always, stay leveled up. We are out.
Thanks for listening to High Level Chronicles. See you next time.
Thank you again for listening to High Level Chronicles. Please help us grow by leaving us a review wherever you listen to us at, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, Alexa. Your reviews will help our show grow and help us reach a broader audience. Also, we are always looking for new show sponsors, so please reach out if you're interested. You can hit us on our social media or email us info@highlevelchronicles.com. Thanks again for listening.